Welcome back to America's Talking. I'm Austin Berg. I'm honored to have with us Mark Normand. Mark is a stand-up comedian who has appeared on Conan, The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, Late Show with Stephen Colbert. So I've only spoken with Mark once before. And when we spoke a lot about Norm MacDonald, who had recently passed.
Yes.
And what does Norm mean to you? Is he your favorite ever?
He's definitely a huge influence on me. I mean, you watch my stand-up and you can see I'm doing him and stuff. Not doing him, but he rubbed off on me, and I think he's probably one of the funniest guys to ever be documented. You know, we got like your Jim Carreys and your Robin Williams and your Eddie Murphys who are funny, but he was a different kind of funny. You couldn't tell if he was being real or not, or he always kept you guessing, kept you on your toes. He made you feel smarter than him, even though he was smarter than you. There was so many layers to Norm, and his joke writing was kind of groundbreaking, maybe is the word. It just, for me, I didn't see any kind of writing like that where he was so logical that it blew your mind. You know, it's weird because the logical is just out there. But he would find a thing, you know, he'd be like, they say alcoholism is a disease. Well, it's the only disease where you have a great time, you know, and you're like, oh, yeah. Identification. It's called ID. It shouldn't be called stuff like that where you're like, he's so outside. There's a genius to that. His joke about the gay pride parade blew my mind. It was all like new to me, that style.
You identified something which I never thought about with him, which is that he made you feel smarter than him, even though he was smarter than you.
Yeah.
I think that's true, but like that's very powerful. And I don't think people talk about that very much. And bad comedy, usually you can tell the person feels as though they're smarter than you.
Yes.
Maybe. Do you think about that when you're writing jokes?
Yeah, I think a lot of comics act cool and they're not cool, or they act smart and they're not that smart. And I think people can see right through it. For the dumb people can't, but I think it's super cool because no one wants to be seen as dumb. So when you act dumb on purpose, it's kind of fascinating. And it shows, it's like when a guy wears pink and girls are attracted to him because he's actually that secure that he can wear the pink. He was that way with smarts. Life. Yeah.
It speaks to this more like transcendent point that he made about comedy. He did this interview on Canadian radio, I want to say. And he was talking about how George Carlin didn't make you happy, didn't make anyone happy. Bill Hicks didn't make anybody happy, but they are considered higher than Bob Hope. And he's obsessed with Bob Hope.
I love that. He's obsessed.
And he says Bob Hope is brilliant because he's invisible. He says, quote, "It's an existential view where everything is reduced to the breeziest joke possible. It's almost a cartoon."
Yes.
And I think if you rise to the level of a cartoon, you're truly at the pinnacle. If Bugs Bunny railed against God, you wouldn't think he was funny. People would think he was a hack. The fact that you can't give a Bob Hope joke, but he's among the most successful ever, is a testament to his skill as a stand-up. He didn't even need good jokes. Every joke sucked on The Tonight Show. Is Norm right about this?
I think he's right, but I do think, like Chris Rock in the 90s, I'd say, had some of the best material of all time, and it didn't make you happy. Or I guess that's a weird way to put it, because it made me happy because I love the jokes. But He was making points. He was social commentating. He had some good stuff in there, some really brilliant angles. And I loved it. And I thought he was the best guy working at the time. So I disagree with the thing he's saying about making you happy. But I do agree that Bob Hope is a special comic. And we demean him. We look down on him for being so light and breezy. But that's actually what was incredibly difficult. Everybody's got problems. Everybody's flawed. Nobody's perfect. But he seemed perfect. And in a way that is incredibly impressive and rare and hard to do. But Norm did that. I mean, the guy had cancer, for Christ's sake, didn't tell anybody because he wanted to keep it breezy. And that is incredibly difficult. And everybody uses every victimhood status all day long. I stubbed my toe. I'm half Cherokee. I'm gay, whatever it is. He didn't touch it. And that is so impressive.